Right now, also, we are scheduled to have an oversight committee hearing on the implementation of the UAC kasi 5th year na. So halfway na. So tignan natin kung saan ba nagkulang, saan ba nagkamali, saan ba nagkulang so that we can make the necessary adjustments.
So sir, ina-assure nyo na bagong mag-adjourn si NIJE, may mararatify na BICAM report tungkol sa UHC amendment?
We are scheduled already on Monday. No, tignan natin hopefully magkasundo kami ng House version kasi maraming provisions sa kanila eh. Sa amin po basically is just adjusting the rate more para nga maka-recover yung mga yung ating mga kababayan muna. So ang maraming concern yung Philippine Medical Association and other doctors organizations, medical practitioners, baka maapektuhan. We have to give the UAC a chance, no, na kumbaga hindi pa naman siya fully implemented, kumbaga or it's a work in progress na siguro yung amendment could come later on.
So ba't sumulat kayo kay Presidente regarding UHC proposed amendments?
Hopefully since it's a priority measure na sumut kami na sana masama rin sa LEDAC priority measures are certified. So, just in case, hopefully, makaabot. Mukha namang nasama naman. Maabot. So, it depends on Monday. But be rest assured that we will, again, just like sa wage issue, we need to strike a balance. No? Na we have to make sure that it will be sustainable. But at the same time, ang target natin, more important, mas killing ako doon sa increasing ng benefits and participation. No, yung pong pag na-hospital ang isang pasyente, no, halimbawa 100,000, dapat at least 30% ang sagot ng PhilHealth. Pwede 40, pwede 50%. Para naman maramdaman nila na ang sarap ng pakiramdam noon na ay kahit papaano yung gobyerno through PhilHealth nandito para umalalay. Pero kung halimbawa 500,000 tapos sasagutin ng PhilHealth 7,000, 8,000 tulad ng mga nakaraan. Parang diba? Hindi mo masyadong ramdam. So, we are determined right now, as the sponsored author of this UAC, that we will make sure that PhilHealth will increase their case rates para po yung magiging basihan ng kanila pong magiging participation, ng pag-set ng participation nila sa bawat medical expenses and hospital bills.
Okay. A more related?
Wage hike lang po.
Wage hike.
Opo. Balikan ko lang po yung sa wage hike, Sen. How strongly is the Senate considering yung pag-adopt ng House version? Sa lounge po ba siya napag-usapan kagabi? How many senators are pushing for it?
Actually, late afternoon na siya lumabas, no? Yung news. So, yung iba wala na masyado eh. So, napag-usapan lang ng mga nandoon, yung sabi na, what if you adopt their version, yung sa House, no? Wala pa naman, nothing concrete. Pero, siguro, doon tayo maglalaro. It's either 100 pesos or 200 pesos. Or, kung magkakabay then we can have a compromise on 150. But that I do not know yet, no? Pero, siguro, at least, siguro, ang masisigurado natin, magkakaroon na increase, no? Minimum of 100, probably at maximum of 200. Yun lang. Again, we would like to hear also, bago natin yan i-push, bago natin i-aprubahan, we have to make sure also that the businesses can afford and can survive, no, by giving 200 pesos daily wage increase for every workers.
Okay, Maki. Same issue.
Ay, sorry.
Sige, mamaya. Anyway, sa doon sa pagpapaliban ng EDSA rehabilitation, sapat ba yung 1 month para i-assess yung mga dapat gawin para tapusin daw ng 6 months instead na 2 years yung EDSA rehabilitation? At open po ba ang government sa inyong suggestion na tapusin muna yung mga railway projects bago simulan yung EDSA rehab?
Well, I think I was the only one who spoke against it, no? Kasi unang-una, pinag-usapan ba ng yan? Was it just DPWH? Kasama ba ibang ahensya dyan? Nagkaroon ba ng economic impact assessment bago mag-decide na magkakaroon ng total total rehabilitation ng EDSA, and that will sabi ko nga, hindi lang yan chaos, hindi lang yan magulo, super gulo yan. No? Right now, what we have right now, yung volume ng vehicles, talagang sobra-sobra na. Meron akong ano yan 1.8 million motorcycles, 1.5 million cars, 125,000 PUJs, 20,000 buses. Ito yung volume sa Metro Manila, no? And the main thoroughfare, of course, is EDSA. Ang isa pang worry ko dyan, yung vehicle sales sa binigay kong data noon, 300,000 every year. Ngayon po, 2024 to 2020, 500,000 pala ang bagong vehicle sales. No? So, anong ibig sabihin nun? In 3 years' time, we will have about 1 million vehicles added to our streets. And EDSA is not kahit anong rehabilitation ang gawin dyan. Hindi naman yan lalapad. Di ba? Yun na yun Ang gagawin ng rehabilitation, reblocking, ayusin yung pavement, ayusin ang sidewalks. So, ang problema natin is the volume of cars. So, kahit gaano kakinis pa yung EDSA na pwede mong higaan, sa ganda, halimbawa yung kanilang pagkakaayos, yung vehicle volume will still be the same. That's why, my suggestion is finish the ongoing railway projects, the North-South Commuter Railway, the Metro Manila Subway System, the MRT-7, and kung meron pang ibang maidadagdag. I have been talking about pushing for the railway system for the longest time, na sabi ko sa house noon, naalala ko nung pag nag-privilege speech ako about the railways, dahil hindi pa naman masyadong traffic, wala naman nakikinig sa akin nun But I think this is the way to go. Sabi ko, railway is the only way. Because of our increasing population, our development, yung volume ay dadami na, hindi na talaga mababawasan. Ito po yung ginawa ng ating ASEAN neighbors, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and now Vietnam. They invested heavily in infrastructure in the 90s. Ngayon po, pag pumunta kayo sa mga bansang to, they are already reaping the fruits of their labor. Ang Vietnam, inuunahan na tayo. So, yung economic impact assessment, kaya ako nabanggit, ano po, ang problema natin, we're losing 3.2 billion a day because of traffic. No? And it will increase to 5.6 billion by 2035 kung wala tayong gawing high-impact projects for infrastructure. So, yun po yung a day yung gasolinang nasusunog dahil sa traffic, yung oras ng bawat tao na naiipit sa traffic, and others. Second, foreign investments. Dapat ito i-consider din. Kung titignan mo ang ASEAN ngayon, dati po nasa top 3 tayo, top 5 easily. Now, inunahan tayo ng Vietnam na. Di ba? Singapore, of course, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, and now Vietnam, tas pang-anim na tayo. One of the reasons is high cost of energy, labor cost, and weak infrastructure. So, kung gagawin mo pa yung EDSA ngayon, panahon na ito, talagang yung foreign investments na inaasam natin, na tinirabaho ng Pangulo, nung unang upo niya, talaga inikot niya, we are open for business. Wala nang pupunta sa atin.
Madi-discourage.
So, we have to, ang pinaka-primary consideration is the economic impact because brought about the total rehabilitation.
So, hindi yun ang sagot, sir?
Sabi ko nga, kahit gaano ka kainis, ganda gawin mong EDSA, ganun pa rin ang vehicle volume Di ba? Hindi naman, ang aim natin, mabawasan yung vehicle volume. Paano mababawasan? Kailangan maging online na ang mga railway system. People should now use the mass transit. Pag maganda at maayos, di ba? Yan ang ginagawa sa Europe, sa Asian neighbors natin. Masyado tayo, we have become a car-centered society for so long. We need to look into mass transit because of our growing population. And I think it's not only convenience, that's why I'm pushing for the railway system, improvement of airports infrastructure, because it will spread out the development. It will develop the countrysides, hindi lang Metro Manila, Cebu at Davao. Dapat yan, pag may railway, maikala.